I just know that there's a leap that people have to take going from an employee to all of a sudden shift and say, I'm the CEO of my life. The other thing that I think many successful entrepreneurs will do is they keep working on themselves. They keep signing up for courses, they get coaches, they take programs, they read, they show up, and they're in a community where people are alive. And I think that we become who our community is. I love this space of transformation.
Marie Fratoni,
CEO of Get Clients Everywhere.
known as the Queen of Networking.
Founder of the Women's Professional Development Network.
With over 30 years of entrepreneurial experience.
Book author of Inspiring Women.
We're hiding our brilliance as women, and women entrepreneurs in particular have such a challenge with telling the world how great they are.
But I think it roots back into way history. Women have always stood behind the men. So I just think it goes back way then. And then we're taught not to be boastful. We're taught not to brag. I remember many years ago, I first started as a representative with Mary Kay Cosmetics. Part of our sales meeting was about crowing. You know, that's what she would call it. Acknowledge and stand up and own your success and what you did and what breakthrough you had. And that's what she called it, crowing. In the quantum field, if we could get to nothing, everything is available. If we can be present, not doing, rushing. It's time to smell the roses.
What advice would you give to women who feel like they're too late to start something?
Oh, bye. Well, first, let me just say,
welcome back to another episode of Conversations Beyond the Brand. I'm your host, Dr. Tashana Thompson, and today's episode is all about legacy, longevity, and confidence at every stage of your business. My guest today is someone who has been leading, teaching, and inspiring for decades, and she's such a gem, and I just hold her so close in such high regard. I'm thrilled to welcome Marie Fratoni today, founder of Get Clients Everywhere. And I'm just so excited for this conversation. You do so much amazing work and have been for so long. And I really want to dive into the people knowing who you are and what you do. So welcome, Marie.
oh my goodness, what a great intro. Thank you. It's good to be here. Let's have some fun.
Yes, fun. Tell me about Get Clients Everywhere.
Well, it's kind of a smattering of a lot of things that help women, in particular, grow, be more visible, get known, and to help them be more profitable. And I have been doing a lot of the same work for many years, and maybe it was about 2008, 7, something like that. I was in a program and I heard myself say something because the people that I worked with were really great at what they did, but they didn't really understand the sales process and how to actually get more people into their business and get more clients. So we were just talking and I said, people don't understand that their clients are everywhere. Mm-hmm. And then the coach just looked at me and she goes, you help people get clients everywhere. And we just burst out laughing. And that's how that was born.
Wow.
Out of my mouth.
That is beautiful. And that's like the most brilliant things typically happen that way, right? Like just out of the blue like that. Share a little bit about your journey and why you started the business.
Well, I think many of us realize that we are our own ideal clients. We all need what it is that we're offering and teaching, and we have that transformation for ourselves. Mm-hmm. And I think I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I had to be responsible for my earnings at a very young age. And, I ran a hotline and crisis intervention center in mm-hmm. Massachusetts, and we had to go get our funding and do all of that. So I had to go generate the funds that would pay me to work. So, and every single job I've had, great jobs, they've all been in a sales capacity or marketing, bringing in business development, things like that. So I know how important it is. And I learned how to do that at a very young age. And I think as I've worked with, I just wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to do things. And then I realized that was in my wheelhouse. I could do that. I could teach other people how to do that. Because a lot of my clients are very smart. They're very talented people. And they've had great jobs. But now that they're in their own business, they have to be accountable for their own revenue generating, and it's a
Right.
little bit challenging, and that's where they fall short. They don't know how to do that. So I like to teach them how to really connect, how to sell, when to sell, how to sell, help them with their pricing, all of the programs that they're offering, and then obviously to really help them be more visible with speaking and getting known out there in the world. So it's kind of a little combination of all of it.
Right. And you're such a brilliant coach. You know, I know that you can help everybody and get clients everywhere, but what's an ideal client look like for you?
Oh, okay. That's a good question. I say that somebody who is really a smart, talented woman who is somewhat accomplished in her own field now, but as she's really starting to launch her own career and wanting to do her own thing under her own guidelines with her own agency, if you will, and they're looking to how they can speed up the process and know what to do next, how to really make the connections and how to be in the right audience. So they're smart. They know what to do. If you hired them, they'd be great, but they're just not getting enough traction and enough clients in there. So people are learning how to even to help them create, how do you build an email list?
Right.
Some people have never done that.
So
And we know how important that is to do that.
So important. Right.
And one of my favorite ways of really helping people is to help them with their speaking and really getting business from the stage and getting followers. So there are people that want to do that. They want to get out there. They want to polish themselves up and be that sparkling diamond that's out there that people can resonate with. And then people are hiding.
I tell that to all of my clients. Like most people, and we work with a very similar client demographic, supporting them in similar ways. But I tell my clients that all the time, like we're hiding our brilliance as women. And you and I have had other conversations about like why we do that. But I would love the audience to hear, your philosophy on why you believe when women entrepreneurs, oh my God, I can't talk. Women entrepreneurs in particular have such a challenge with really showing up and being seen, being visible, and telling the world how great they are.
It's really such an important issue for so many people. Even myself, even today, I still have that depending on where I'm going and what audience I might be speaking with. So it kind of never goes away. But I think it roots back into way history. Women have always stood behind the men.
Mm-hmm.
You go to some business meetings, and if it is a couple that is together, it's usually the man that's got the mic and the woman is just standing there. If you look at our political system, most of them are men, and the woman is standing next to them. Stand by your man.
Yeah.
So I just think it goes back way then. And then we're taught not to be boastful. We're taught not to brag. I remember many years ago, in my illustrious career, I first started as a representative with Mary Kay Cosmetics.
I love that.
It was so much fun. I mean, it was a good time for me. But she used to have events where when part of our sales meeting it was about crowing. That's what she would call it, is that's where you get to acknowledge and stand up and own your success and what you did and what breakthrough you had. And that's what she called it, crowing. So, yeah. And women were like, I don't dare do that. I don't want to say that. I don't want to put myself out there. What will people think? Will people still like me if I do this? I don't want to talk about myself.
Yeah. I talk about absolutely. I tell people all the time the reason why I've decided to work with women and support them exclusively is because we have a unique set of challenges when it comes to showing up. And we kind of go back to this high school mentality of, if I show up, I tell people how great I am or what I'm doing, they're going to think that I think that I'm all that. And, that whole crazy self-talk. And, brilliant women who think that their work should speak for itself. And, I really don't want to tell people what I have going on. And when people come here to work with us at BBS, like I'm really giving people permission to shine. I really am saying, you know what? Every single thing that is posted, every single brilliant accolade, blame it on me. And so many of my clients too. Oh, I didn't do that. My marketing girl, right? Because they don't want to be seen as taking ownership of beating their chest. You know, men will beat their chest for nothing.
I mean, that's what
And
they
we
do.
can have all the degrees, all the pedigree behind us, and just not feel worthy to show up and, stand firm in who we are and what we do. So I think that, it's really important, and it's one of the reasons, and there's many, why I admire you so much, is that, you come from a different generation, but you've been living this, walking this, walking the walk and talking the talk for so many, and giving permission to other women to shine. And I am all about giving you your flowers, because I'm a little emotional. I've already talked to Marie about this, but I could really cry, Marie, about how much I think of you and how and what high regard. And I know I'm not alone. So I want to give you your flowers in this moment and just tell you that you are such a shining example for so many. And you give voice to so many. I got to write a book with Marie. Talk to us about that, and, what that whole process is like. I know that wasn't your first time taking people on that journey.
Well, first, let me just say thank you. I received the acknowledgement, and I mean, my body's tingling to have somebody say that so lovingly. So thank you for that. We never know the difference we make, right? I'm just out being Marie.
Yeah.
What you see is what you get, all of me.
Mm-hmm.
And, I decided for fun, I was in a mastermind a few years ago, and in the mastermind got together and created a compilation book or collaborative book. It was just really fun. We all got our little chapter and took something that was special in our business, a tool that we used over and over again. And the tool that I selected for that book was how I went from building a global brand by virtual coffees,
Yes.
and so that's one of the staples in any of my programs, because many people don't take the time to get to know anybody,
No.
you know, um, and we're so influential when we really get to see who people are. So that was one thing. And then I decided that I wanted to bring that to my community because it made sense. I mean, sometimes having a book and having your name in a book can give you access to different stages, especially for people that are working with event managers. That can help to open the door. And some people want it just as their own legacy. It's something that they've done. Some people want to have it as back of the room sales, with card decks or whatever. But it's been really fun, and I've enjoyed working. So we've done 2 books. One is called Inspiring Women, Purpose, Power, and Passion in Professionalism. And then this book, Inspiring Women, Living an Unstoppable Life with Purpose, Power, and Passion, of which Dr. Tashana Thompson is one of our major authors. And she's gotten great kudos on her chapter, people that have been very moved by her story, because it lives in all of us.
Mm-hmm. And that's so true. And you have given women, with this offering, that's what I'll call it, an offering of love, space to really be vulnerable. That chapter that I shared in your book, our book, was very, very vulnerable for me. And I'm sure many of the other women, like, you're sharing a part of yourself that most would rather keep hidden, but really having the boldness to come out and, tell your story and be heard. And that's something that you really coach people so powerfully to do.
Well, thank you. We never know. I mean, it's fun to find people that want to do that.
Right.
So that's, I consider myself like the chief inviter or the inviter in chief.
Right.
Anything I do, I just invite people. And so I'm good at inviting. I'm good at sharing. I'm good at inviting. And I never know what the chapter is going to be. I never know what people are going to pull out of themselves. And, we had one of our authors in the book wrote a story, and I shared it. I shared the book with her colleagues. Our author actually passed away. And so that was a shocker to all of us. But I shared the book with her colleagues, and they called me and said, I've known her for 30 years. I never knew that about her. So we never know, like, the ripple effect that we have by just doing something, say, I'm going to write 1,500 words in the chapter. But if we get the book out, if we get that out, we never know whose lives we touch.
Absolutely. And it's something so powerful about, and the legacy of that, like those words live on.
The words live on. They're in black and white in here.
And they live on, that story lives on. And, it's such a, it's so powerful. It really is.
And it's real because it's on Amazon, and Barnes and Noble. So it's there too, so they know.
It's everywhere. It's everywhere. And isn't that book, wasn't it a number one best-selling?
It's number one bestseller.
Yeah. So it's exciting, and what you are too, giving women permission to do and show up and leave our stamp on the world, and as small business owners. What I find it interesting, like how we talked some about this mindset shift that kind of has to happen for women to be visible. What mindset shifts have helped you to stay current, stay visible, and full of energy? Like, you run circles around people.
Some days.
Most days.
I just know that there's a leap that people have to take from going from an entrepreneur, from an employee. They could have a great job, but if they're still an employee and someone else is managing their future, if you will, their future and their finances, it takes something to all of a sudden shift and say, I'm the CEO of my life.
Yes.
Business is one of the things that I do.
Right.
And so, I think just owning that, practicing that. And I think the other thing that I think many successful entrepreneurs will do is they keep working on themselves. They keep signing up for courses. They get coaches. They take programs. They read. They get involved, and they show up, and they're in a community where people are alive, and that's happening. And I think that, we become who our community is.
Absolutely.
I know for myself, my community gives me my life.
Absolutely.
And they see me differently. They hear me differently, and the ones that are always with me, like my family, is like, wah, 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 wah. There she goes again. Wah, wah,
right.
wah. But if you're in an environment that is like for and lifting and things like that, magic can happen for people. You can actually see their transformation right before your eyes. They walk in differently. They show up differently. They dress differently.
You're so right.
You're so right. I love this space of transformation.
It is. It's magical. It really is. And you said something earlier about being the queen of inviting, but you are truly the queen of connection. And your approach to networking is so authentic and joyful and powerful. I want you to talk a little bit about your philosophy on networking, your personal philosophy.
Yeah, I think it's so important because, Barbara Streisand had a song many years ago, and she said, people who need people are the luckiest people in the world. And, today, I think, even now, I think there's such a need for connection because we're so, on these little devices all the time, and there's no interaction on those devices. There's no feelings in those, they generate feelings, but not ours. So I think as a business owner, we have to really develop really good relationships with people, and how we show up in that is important. So I think business is about building good relationships, and many times it just starts with, hello, my name is.
Right.
You look great today. Look at your hair. I love that. Where'd you get that purse? That's amazing. To just warm things up. Sometimes today when we go to an event, you're in an event and there's a lot of people on Zoom or in a room, and the first thing they do is say their name and, would you want to buy my program? It's like they're just not trained. I think it takes something to really be trained in. Networking and building a network are two different things. Building one across the ponds, it takes an art, takes time, it takes relationships, and it takes a sincere interest to get to know people, because I think everybody has the desire to go networking and knows that they should go networking, but many people really don't know how to do that to their best advantage. So I like to teach what I call the principles of savvy networking. And how can you just go in and how can you walk in and own the room? I could go to 500 people and I'm not going to meet all 500 people. I have no interest.
No.
But I might find 2 or 3 people that I can go seclude myself and have a short conversation and ask them a lot of questions and learn. And I'm listening for what's available for them in this conversation. How might I be able to help them? And what's available for me? Do they have a podcast like you do? Do they have an audience? Are they have something that I could add to my programs that would make my programs richer? And then I just go have fun because it's social. And transformation happens in social interaction.
It's so true. It's so true. And, I always say that our lives and businesses move at the speed of our relationships. And it's everything. And to your point, I think oftentimes, people go into networking situations with the what's in it for me mentality. And if you're not going to buy my thing, or I think you can't, I made an assumption about you, and I think that you can't buy my thing, or whatever the case may be, people disregard people. They act like they don't exist. And to your point, you can't meet 500 people, but you can be genuinely interested in 3.
Yeah.
And you can schedule a time to have a virtual coffee or lunch or whatever the thing is to deepen that relationship and get to know people. And giving a care, I won't curse, about people goes a long way. And we all want connection. And I would argue, Marie, that people on these devices are still searching for a pseudo connection. That's why everyone's on these social media platforms and airing everything about themselves, right? Because we're looking for connection. So I just love that. I want you to, you successfully ran a networking group for many, many years. I want you to talk a little bit about that and that legacy and all that goodness.
Yeah, it was a good love. It was really a labor of love for me. It was just a joy. And it was called the Women's Professional Development Network. And it was, for me, more than networking. It was really a place for people to grow professionally. So we would have speakers that would come in and events that would encourage. And when I first began it, I began it in Massachusetts. It wasn't first one. I was working with a big management association, and that was the first WPDN that happened. And it really became very popular up there. And it was the time that women were the ideal client of this association. They were the HR people for the most part.
Right.
And but the wonderful guys that I worked with, and they were wonderful. They didn't really understand sometimes the difference that how women buy, how women act, how women participate. It's different, And so we raised the platform for them. That was in the early 80s, and it became the fastest growing division of the association and the most profitable.
Wow.
Who knew? And then I started another one up there with 5 women, and we called ourselves the Founding Mothers. And that group, that was in 1985 it started.
Yeah.
They just completed it this year. WPDN, I came and was running here in Atlanta for 15 years. And many of us grew up together. We had great speakers. We had some wonderful sponsorships. And it was just a great place. We had great food, great event, white tablecloth event. We kind of raised the bar, so to speak. And then it just became time to really complete it. During COVID, a lot of things changed. People weren't there. We actually had some members pass away. And that was kind of a shock. And then the numbers didn't quite come back. And then people were used to being on Zoom, and it was easy to stay home and, wear your shorts, but look pretty on top. And that was it. There's nothing like a live event that's going to help you be with people, give a hug, give a handshake, give a wink, crack some jokes, and really see what's going on. And you really get to develop your personality and really get to show up over time, so people get to know you and get to trust you and see this is somebody who stands in their truth, and they're not. One day they're this, and one day they're that, and one day they're this, and one day they're that. Nothing wrong with that, but it's like it just depends on who you want to be, because we all shift, and change.
And pivot, yeah.
But I love community, and I think if anybody is growing something, community has to be an aspect of it. Otherwise, you have to work way too hard.
That's so true. That's so true. You talked about live events, and I want you to stay there with me for a little bit. I want you to really tell the people what the benefit of live events is, and you can go into your fabulous retreats that I aspire to attend one day. Because I think that's lost. It is such a powerful, to your point, way to connect.
Well, I just think live events, there's an energy, there's an expectation, especially if you're somebody that hops on a plane, goes to a different city, signs up. So I love to go to events. I like to go to more conferences, and events, that type of thing, because I know that my ideal clients are there, and I'm looking at how I can shore up my relationships and how I can learn from the other leaders and pay attention to the whole event and what's happening, how is it running, how are they working with this. There's so much available to learn by showing up and being with people. Even the crazy stuff that happens, the bad stuff where they forgot the meal, or the funny things that happened. So I went on a retreat once on a cruise ship, and the two retreat leaders missed the boat. And to them, they were mortified. They were so upset, They thought they let us. We still had a great time. We had our own retreat, and it was just, it worked out.
Could you imagine? How did they do that?
Yeah, it was like a weather thing, and things got delayed. They made all the plans to do the right thing, but Mother Nature got in the way.
Life happens.
Life happens, So we had a good laugh at it, and we still had a great cruise. But things happen. That was a live event, so that put us in a space where we could be with other people, and everybody showed up as a leader. We all led the event together,
Right.
So it was kind of
And
fun.
you remember one another, and I'm sure you created some awesome bonds because that's such a unique situation, right?
Yeah, it was fun. But I think live events can be really life altering for people. You walk in the room one way, and you often leave the room another way.
Absolutely.
And if the event is designed properly, and it's got the intellectual component, it's got the emotional component, it's got some physical components to it, a spiritual component to it, not to love. So I would say, and then my clients, the type of people that I want to work with, are showing up at those events because they're investing in themselves. They're learning. They want to be with the experts. And so to me, it's much more fun. Over the years, I've built a vast network. So I don't go to a lot of networking events. I do for the fun and social, and it's great to meet new people. But I'm much more interested to have live conferences or pop-ups or anything where you can really share your gifts.
I love it. So we talked about live events, and there's nothing better than a retreat as a live event. And when you say Italian retreat, like, sign me up. Talk to us about the huge transformation in communities you've been able to create with your retreats.
Well, first of all, I just want to say that this is going to be my 20th year leading retreats in Italy. I've led retreats here in the States, but they've been more business kind of retreats.
Yeah.
Or maybe I would really look at them like conferences. But I see that they have a lot of retreat components in them. But it's a perfect example of how you can create yourself to step into something that is unknown. And I think the lesson here is for all of us is when you say yes to something, like the book, or yes, I'm like, all of a sudden, my friend today who said, I'm registering for your New Year's trip. All of a sudden now she's going. And so the energy starts to happen. So opens doors. So I love to go to Italy. I'm Italian. And then Condé Nast magazine says Italy is the #1 travel destination in the world. So if you're going to go someplace, location
as well.
Right. So it's just fun. And basically the retreats that I do in Italy in particular are really designed for people like us, They're busy. They're serving people. They've got big lives. They've got big businesses. They're trying to get something off the ground. And they want something that is done for them. They don't need to research it. They don't need to manage any of the logistics. It's all done. They show up, they unpack their bag for a week, and they're delighted. They're in a magical space. And then I make myself available for some coaching, and sometimes people take me up on that. And even that is different because if you're providing, sometimes my clients come, sometimes friends come, sometimes they bring their spouse, or their nephew or whoever. But there's always a theme and there's a collective theme. So it's not just a trip. It's not just like you're hopping on a bus tour. Nothing wrong with that. But it's, you're in a bubble and you're in a context for something. So each of the retreats has a particular theme. I'm getting ready to go in a couple of days to Tuscany, and it's called Dolce Far Niente, which is the sweetness of doing nothing.
Oh.
And that's what people say. They go, but nothing. I actually had one of the participants called me who I didn't meet yet personally, but we met through other people. And she called me and she said, "Can you tell me how much nothing we're going to be doing on this trip?" And I thought it was such a great question. She said,
How much you hanging exactly? Yeah.
But in the quantum field, if we could get to nothing, everything is available.
Say it again.
When we can get to nothing, if we can be present, not doing, rushing, hustle, which many of us do. And sometimes we have to do that. But if we could stop and had time to smell the roses, take time to savor that Chianti, or to just like slurp that gelato so it's dripping down your face. It's just fun. And then if you're coaching inside of a different environment, you're leaving your environment. You're seeing something different. You're hearing something different. You're eating delicious food. You're seeing art, history. It's awakening. Say, in September, I'm going back to Tuscany, a different location. One of my favorite places that I've been multiple times. It's going to be my 19th retreat there. We're calling it the abundance of Tuscany. And what if we really focused on abundance? Some people have a breakthrough in abundance just by registering for the trip.
Wow. Oh, so walk us through. Now I want to picture myself there, so I can manifest. Let me pray. What can your attendees expect? So just walk us through what a day looks like on one of your retreats.
Well, we start the day with a beautiful breakfast. That we just wake up and we're in a beautiful environment and it's just there waiting for us. It's always really fun because in Italy, Italians eat cake for breakfast. So that's fun. And then we might have a group session where we get together and do some sharing and unfold. So I've got some great conversations that I lead people based on the theme. And we just do some sharing. I do some surprises that people laugh at and they really like. But I won't tell you what they are. And then we might go off and have an excursion in one of the local area towns, and so we kind of guide people as to what they can do. But the trip is curated so that the theme of the trip occurs for people. So it kind of built each day has a particular thing, and of course we see, beautiful places, and sometimes they're off the beaten path because we're really in an immersion in Italy or wherever I go. We want to be in an immersion. Of the town and the people and the language. And so people are just, their molecules are rearranged, and people might get tired after the trip because we try to pack in a lot. So it's a great value and everything is optional. So if somebody wants to lay out by the pool and read a book, they could do that. They can opt to do that. But you're in a nice, wonderful, safe bubble that a lot of people that are single, I know a lot of single people. I'm single. And so they don't want to travel in a group. They want to go with a group of people. They don't want to be by themselves. They don't want to research.
Right.
So it provides. And if we have a business focus to it for the ones that want the business, then if they want to use it as a tax deduction to grow or to say, could I lead a retreat here? Could I see myself doing this? That's their own growth and development, their own research and development to be able to do that. So it really works out. It's a win-win for everybody.
Wow. What kind of women show up for these experiences?
All kinds. I mean, all ages. I mean, it's all adults. I don't do things with
Of
children.
course. Yeah.
Although if they have an adult child, that's cool.
Yeah.
But I mean, all kinds. I mean, some people are business owners, some people are entrepreneurs that I meet through my community, and sometimes it's their spouse or their nephew, or one woman brought her son-in-law, but he was really great. I mean, he was an executive for United Way. And,
Mm.
I mean, so it's a sharp professional people. Sometimes they're retired. They might have been referred to me, and I try to have conversations to quote unquote vet them to make sure
Yeah.
that they're right, that they know they're just not going to go on a trip. They're a
Right.
trip inside of a context for something to happen, for them. But they could be all ages. They could come from different places. We've had people from different countries. And we've had many people who come back year after year after year after year because it's revitalizing for them.
I love
We
it.
don't need to create it. We create
Exactly.
enough, right?
Right. What shift do you see in people after they come to the retreats?
Well, it's a variety of different things. I mean, a funny example would be for one of the first years I was there, and one of her colleagues missed her flight to get there.
Um,
If you're here, many times the overseas flights happen during the night. She was thinking, and you arrive the next day, so she
mhm.
thought she was flying that next day, so she missed it, and she was really upset and called us. She was crying. I blew it. Blah, 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 blah. We said,
Oh.
call Delta, put your big girl panties on, rearrange your flights. We'll be there waiting for you. And so we had things at the hotel, and she knew where that was. When she got to Florence, there was no baggage. She had put some cash in her luggage, and of course the cash was gone.
Oh,
And
God.
her luggage didn't appear with us for about 5 days. So we created a game, and we called it Wrap the Gift.
Oh.
And the wrap the gift was, people, if they saw something, they bought it for her. She ended up having to buy shoes. She had to buy, people gave her T-shirts to wear.
Love that.
She had to buy shorts. She had to buy whatever. And then she borrowed somebody's credit card. They said, here, just use it. And she bought a red leather jacket in Florence. So she like transformed herself physically with clothes because the universe just said, we're not sending you your luggage. And that was a transformation. And who she had to be in
Oh,
order to
yes.
have that happen for herself,
Yes.
that was a transformation.
Oh, wow.
And who people were for her
And
that
how
didn't
she
know her.
how she had to receive. Like you're in a situation where you don't really have a choice. So
Correct.
if you're a over giver, like many of us are, and you're used to giving, God, I call, universe, whatever you call, will make you. And it's
Yeah.
all about the lessons that, we learn along the way. So that's such a great example.
It was just fun, Sometimes people, they just, I'm going this year with one of my a former client and a good friend who's an image consultant. And I said, I can't wait to go to Italy with an image consultant. How fun was it?
Fun.
Shop, learn,
Exactly. Shop
try
some
on
more.
things. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's transformation that happens there because people will do something there that they won't do here.
Oh,
I
that's
do
so
things
cool.
there that I don't do here.
Right.
And so it just provides the space.
Yeah.
And
So what
then
happens in Italy stays in Italy, right? Yeah, you're able to create, you don't have to be bogged down by the you that you created here, you
say
know?
the last thing. I missed the
You
last
don't
thing.
have to be bogged down by the you that you created in your everyday life.
Yeah.
I was just looking on my bookshelf. I have two copies of the book by Dr. Joe Dispenza, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. And it really shows like when you take people on these retreats, they get to just lay down for a moment the mask that so many of us wear in our day to day lives and, having to be whatever semi illusion that we've created of ourselves. So I love that. I hope to go on a retreat with you sometime soon.
Yeah, you could actually lead a retreat. One of the things that made me think of, a lot of times when we go, nobody puts makeup on. We're like heading to life with bare face.
And again, laying down that mask and
Yeah.
just being, and like you mentioned earlier, um, just stop being a human doing and being a human being,
Yeah.
and what you open yourself to when you're free and you give yourself permission to just be.
It's fun if people are sometimes will be at a place where you can actually walk through the vineyards.
Right.
And it's just this expansive thing, you know. In the spring, we're going to look for big poppy fields. They have big poppy fields that are like the size of a football field. And, you know, just seeing it takes you away.
Mm-hmm.
You don't find that here,
No.
you know.
And if you did find it here, you wouldn't stop to enjoy it.
Maybe. That's
You know, there's so many things that so much beauty in our everyday lives that we're so lost in the busyness that we don't
yeah.
take a moment, many of us, to just breathe and enjoy that, you know, that flower, that rose, that tree, like whatever the thing is. I can talk to you all day. But there's a couple more things I wanted to hit on before we leave. And I've talked to you a lot in private conversation about how in awe I am of your longevity and how you have modeled like this power, this visibility, this grace um, at every age. And it gives, you know, so many of us hope that, you know, we can still be taking names years to come. So, what advice would you give to women who feel like they're too late to start something?
Oh, bye. Just no. That's what I would say. We're never too late, you know. There's so much to do, there's so much to learn, and the world is moving and shaping really quickly. You know, how I do my business today is not what I did 20 years ago. It's not what I did 30 years ago. It wasn't when I started it off in the early 80s. I mean, life is just very different, you know? I mean, I'm kind of still old school because I grew up without a computer, you know? So I still have my paper calendar and, you know, there's a lot of things that they work for me. So why not? But I think it's also important to learn, you know. I mean, I can remember people giving me lessons on how to work Facebook, you know, and it works for me because I'm very social, so I like connecting with people on it. But there's a lot of things that I don't know how to do on there, and I have no interest in learning. So, you know, I think that just reading a book or, you know, trying a new recipe, I think, you know, sometimes I would always encourage people, no matter what age they are, to start a business. I would start a business and work out of your home. If you live in the United States, you've got great tax benefits for that. Having a business is a personal development program for yourself. And it can also leave something that's longevity for a family or people that are important to you in your life. So I think being too old, ageism is a mindset. Ageism is out there. There's no question.
Oh, for sure.
I used to see it a lot when I was a headhunter. We would go to fairs, and the people that were in the room a lot of them were white-haired, bald men. And they were still very vital and very talented, but nobody wanted them, or they're going to, you know, age out in terms of the employee benefit packages. So, you know, we have to do things for ourselves. And when you create a business, it doesn't matter what it is. It could be baking cookies in your house. It could be, you know, you're the best pound cake maker, and get that out there in the world. We never know what that leads to, but I think it's important to create something, hitch your wagon to a star, get with some people that have done that can help you shortcut your way to success. You know, because all of us, as we've come up the chute, I mean, we've botched things up, messed things up, things didn't work, you know, and we still keep going. It's like the Energizer Bunny. In my mind is very active. I can't stop thinking of things and events to do. I think it would be so fun to have an Inspiring Women conference.
Yes.
What does that look like, you know? So, you know, and then to have the right support team, that's where, for me, that's what I need to keep working on, is to find the people that can help lift me because I'm a
Right.
visionary.
Right.
And I probably will be a visionary forever,
Yes.
but I'm not always the best implementer.
Right. Right.
And that's important too.
Absolutely.
I just say go for it. I mean, for the people that are, even now, if you're on Medicare or you're on Social Security, start a business, start something, join a direct selling company, create logos for people, be a house cleaner, do it. Find people that need yard work and create a yard work company, and then find the staff to go do it. I mean, there's certain things that we all need.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, what does legacy mean to you at this stage?
That's a scary word.
Is it scary to you?
I
Let's
mean, I don't
talk
know if it's
about that.
intention, but it's like I don't think of myself. I don't think about it that much. But I
Mhm.
just think if I look at my life, if I had a resume, which I don't anymore, um, but if I looked at where I started professionally and where I am now, we never know how many lives we touch. I mean, if I just look at the one class that I teach a lot, Networking Savvy, thousands of people have taken that class in different countries.
Yeah.
Some of them still stay in touch with me.
Yeah.
Some of them are clients of my clients.
Yeah.
They meet each other and they create their relationships, and so if I look at legacy, there's been interesting things that I've done that have been where I've been a leader and a source.
Mhm.
I've sourced things that have allowed other people to source things and other people to win. But I don't spend my time thinking about it.
Oh.
If you ask me, I can go back and I can see. So I just think, if I'm a good person, I do good work. I don't leave my life as a mess for other people to clean up. That's a good thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's really interesting because, um, I find myself at this stage thinking a lot about legacy. So, it's interesting how we all, see that. And it may be because I have a young daughter that
Yeah.
that's really important to me. Um, but yeah,
Think about that. She can see your growth and development through the years and what happened.
right.
Life happens, business happens, clients leave, clients come on. I mean,
Yeah,
that's part of what life is about. And it just
absolutely.
shows up and manifests, in business. But I think legacy is an important thing to think about. I mean, I think you asked me one day, and I've had somebody else recently ask me and said, and now I have people that are business brokers that reach out to me. I don't even know who they are. They don't even have a website, so I don't know if they're even real people. But what keeps showing up is, would you be open to selling your business?
Yes.
And to me, I want to just burst out laughing and thinking, what value would that have of anybody? That's where I go. That's me stepping back and not owning what I've done.
And that's not owning the legacy and the richness and that's why, even as coaches, we need to be coached because I call BS, like your work has been so rich and not has been, is so rich and touches so many and it's so vibrant and full and all of these things. And that was one of the first things I asked you. We had lunch a couple months back. Like, are you going to sell this thing? If so, when? Like, like, because it's such a rich, sorry, I'm going to come up with a new word, but legacy, like, and really being able to, you spend some time coaching businesses and entrepreneurs on how to do retreats but that longevity piece for those of us who want this to be the last thing that we do.
Yeah.
What does that look like? Because there's been an art to your transformation over the years. Because how many times have you had to pivot? I think that's all a part of that legacy. So I will not let you not fit fully in the brilliance of what you've created. Um, okay, we got to wrap it up, but I want to have a little fun with you before you go.
Okay.
So I have a quick lightning round of some fun questions, and you just scream out the first thing that comes to you. Morning person or night owl?
Night owl.
One word that best describes your business journey.
Oh, one word. Rolling.
Okay, your go-to power outfit or accessory when you want to feel unstoppable.
Oh, my Italian earrings, no question.
Love it. And what is one book that every business owner should read?
Well, this one for sure. But I have another one that I think is a classic. Um, it's a book that's called The Game of Life. I think it was written maybe in the 30s or the 40s by
Right here, The Game in Life and how to play it. Is that what it's right here on my shelf.
The Game of Life is by Florence Scovel Shinn. That's the one that I'm talking about.
Yep. It's called The Game of Life and How to Play It. And you are the second guest that has named that book.
Really?
So if you're watching, if you watch the other episodes, Cash and episode 2, set this book. This is your sign to go get it. It's a fabulous
great
book.
I mean, it's so rich and it's so relevant today.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
I love Florence Scovel Shinn. I think when I first started business and I got that book, the world opened up for me.
Mm-hmm. It really does. And it's so small. And I love books like that are so small, but so impactful and so powerful.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. So, Marie, thank you so much for sharing your brilliance with us today. Your presence is proof that longevity is not only possible, it's powerful, and it is long lasting. And we are so in awe of you. For those of you who want to grow your confidence, connect with amazing women, and start getting clients everywhere, visit Marie online at getclientseverywhere.com to learn more about her services, her coaching, and her fabulous retreats. And I will be sure to include her website in the show notes as well. We'll be back next week with another voice behind a brand that matters. Until then, stay visible and stay bold.